their discussion today honoring the 50th anniversary of Dr. Terry's report. I yield to Senator Blumenthal.
Mr. President. Mr. President.
The senator from Connecticut.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm proud to be with public health advocates like the presiding officer, my very distinguished and eloquent colleague, Senator Brown, and Senator Durbin, who was on the floor earlier today on this very subject, which remains one of urgency and profound importance to the public health of this nation. Indeed, if there is a public health threat, enemy number one in the United States of America, it continues to be tobacco use and nicotine addiction. We talk a lot in this body and throughout the Congress and throughout the nation about reducing the costs of health care. If we were to cut tobacco use and nicotine addiction, it would drastically reduce those diseases like cancer and heart disease and lung problems that reduce longevity of life in this country, but also create enormous costs in treating those medical diseases. Indeed, the cost of tobacco in health care to this country is about $193 billion a year, not only in direct medical costs, but lost productivity. I am proud to have fought and fought successfully through many of my years as Attorney General of the state of Connecticut, working in alliance with other attorneys general, with private health advocates like the Campaign for Tobacco-Free Kids, the Heart and Lung Associations, the Cancer Society, and throughout the country, these private advocates who have achieved so much. And when we doubt our achievements on this 50th anniversary of the annual Surgeon General's report on tobacco and health, we should remember the days when 43% of adults smoked cigarettes and were addicted to nicotine. We should look at Mad Men, the very popular TV series, where tobacco use and smoking is ubiquitous. There's barely a scene without it. And those were days when doctors in their medical offices smoked cigarettes. The days when Big Tobacco denied, fervently and vehemently denied, that tobacco caused cancer or any of those other diseases. In alliance with attorneys general and eventually the Department of Justice, we fought successfully to bring out the truth and to help not only change the ads and pitches and promotions of Big Tobacco, but also eventually to pass the Family Smoking Prevention and Tobacco Control Act of 2009. And yet, for all the progress that we've made, and indeed the rate of smoking has gone from 52% in 1965 to 18% in 2002 among adults, we are still laggard. We are way behind where we should be in preventing all those diseases that come from tobacco and protecting the public. The state of regulation and protection in this country is anemic compared to the danger and the threat. Between 2000 and 2012, cigarette use declined nearly 35%, but in that same period of time, cigar use rose by 124%. And especially among young people, cigar use is increasing. There are new fronts and new frontiers in the fight against tobacco addiction and the public health consequences, the disastrous and catastrophic health consequences that come from lifetimes of nicotine addiction and tobacco use. Big Tobacco continues many of the tactics that caused so many people to become addicted and die, because it is the only industry, it makes the only product that kills the customer, so it must replenish its customer base by luring new people, new users, and its target continues to be young people. The young people who are lured into cigar use and then cigarettes by the use of flavors and all kinds of pitches and promotions that make these products seem more like candy and fruit than they do like the killers that they are. And we must accept that a major part of the responsibility belongs to the FDA and to the federal government, because there are no deeming regulations that are necessary to regulate cigars in this country. With 3,000 new people under the age of 18 trying cigar smoking each and every day, the fact that we do not have deeming regulations and strong regulation of tobacco products is simply unacceptable. Deeming regulations forthcoming from the FDA would allow it to regulate these other forms of tobacco, whether it's cigars or spit tobacco, also known as chewing tobacco, all forms of tobacco and tobacco-like products that threaten the health of young people. And I've been consistent, along with many of my colleagues, in calling on the FDA to issue these regulations and hope that they will do quickly. Let me mention, finally, another growing new frontier and threat in this country involving cigarettes, e-cigarettes. These new products offer, in the rhetoric and pitches and promotion of the industry, a way to enable people to quit smoking. And yet, they are often pitched to young people with flavors and other gimmicks. They are, for those young people, a gateway to smoking and nicotine addiction. Companies that make e-cigarettes, not coincidentally, are being purchased by Big Tobacco, the makers of tobacco cigarettes. And the influence of these companies can be seen in the advertising and marketing pushes and campaigns of these products that feature celebrities and candy flavorings and purport to offer a safer alternative to smoking. The ability of Big Tobacco to market these products, just as they were able to market cigarettes to children, gives them the ability to create a new generation of people who are addicted to nicotine and susceptible to going to other forms of tobacco products. I call on the FDA to act and to reach a determination that will enable it to regulate e-cigarettes and protect young people and all of us against the dangers and the costs of these new products that are unknown in their ingredients. Many of them may contain the same or similar carcinogens. Somebody using e-tobacco products has simply no way of reliably knowing because they are unlabeled. And the amounts of nicotine are also unknown and unlabeled. Studies of e-cigarettes have found that products claiming not to contain nicotine actually do often. And the amounts of nicotine may vary widely across products. What is known beyond any doubt is nicotine is highly addictive. In fact, probably the most addictive legal or illegal drug there is today. And we cannot sit idly and allow this new product to addict a new generation of American children. I hope that this year's Surgeon General's report will remind us of the accomplishments we made, but the dangers and the challenges ahead that we must confront. And I am proud to yield to one of the great public health advocates in this body, my colleague and friend, Senator Merkley, and I would just ask unanimous consent that Senators Merkley and I be permitted to speak for up to 5 minutes, and that following our remarks, the Senate stand in recess subject to the call of the chair.
Without objection, so ordered.
Mr. President.
Senator from Oregon is recognized.
Mr. President, I ask unanimous consent to utilize a visual aid in my presentation.
Without objection, so ordered.
Thank you, Mr. President. I am very pleased to be here with my colleagues from Ohio, the senator who is sitting in the chair, the senator from Connecticut who just spoke, to draw attention to this incredibly important health issue here in America, addiction to tobacco and the diseases that come from that addiction to tobacco. Now, we're here to commemorate a report put out 50 years ago by Dr. Terry, the Surgeon General. His report was called Smoking and Health, and the contents of that report shocked the world because it was issued in defiance of a powerful and profitable industry that had repeatedly denied that there was any link between smoking and disease. This report made national news by telling the American public things that we now take for granted. That smoking is bad for the heart and lungs. That smoking causes cancer. And that lives of Americans are routinely cut short due to the use of tobacco products. This single report created a powerful ripple throughout society, a ripple that has continued in the decades since, growing into a wave that has transformed public health in America and saved an astonishing number of lives. Thomas Frieden, the current director of the Center for Disease Control, says that no other single report has had as large of an effect on public health. The Journal of the American Medical Association estimates that 8 million lives have been saved by the anti-smoking measures that were launched, directly or indirectly, out of this report. And that's a reminder of how far we have come in identifying a significant risk, understanding it, educating the public, and reducing the consequences. There would have been millions of lives lost had a brave Attorney General not acted 50 years ago in 1964. If that Surgeon General had said, as others before him, that is just too sensitive, that is too provocative, it will be too much of an irritant to a powerful industry, how many lives would we have lost? And if we do not act now to address tobacco addiction from new forms of the product, how many more American lives will be lost? We must take the courage from 50 years ago and channel it into the courage of today to address a significant health risk and to educate the American public and to change the consequences. Now, the best way to save lives and improve the quality of life 20 or 30 years from now is to prevent young Americans from taking up tobacco products today. But Big Tobacco knows that this is true. They know that the best way to create lifelong, reliable customers for their deadly products is to get kids hooked as young as possible, because in general people do not take up tobacco products after the age of 21. These children are what the industry calls replacement smokers. It's what I call children today who will suffer from tobacco addiction, disease, and death tomorrow. So the tobacco industry is working night and day to come up with new strategies to create more children as replacement smokers to keep their industry alive. And they have come up with quite a variety of strategies, and I thought I would share some of them with you today. This poster is of a product that is essentially presented as a mint. Here you have an orb, or a mint, with a clever little dispenser shaped like what cell phones were shaped like 6 years ago when they went in your pocket. The understanding was that if kids had this in their pocket, the teachers would think that they had a cell phone, and therefore they wouldn't get busted at school. Well, it seems kind of incredible that dissolvable tobaccos developed into mints to addict our children, that you eat them. I have one of these right here. These were marketed in Oregon. These were marketed in Oregon as basically an experiment to see could you get young people to consume them and become addicts to tobacco. Or how about toothpicks made out of tobacco called sticks? Or how about, and this is unbelievable, breath strips that you put onto your tongue? Or how about flavors of all kinds? And I'll note that our time is running out, but can I ask the Chair for unanimous consent to speak for 3 more minutes?
Without objection, it's ordered.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is an example of the cigarettes or cigarillos that my colleagues were talking about. This one's flavored apple, and this one's flavored sweet cherry. And how about this one that's strawberry? These products are all about addicting our children. And here is the long and short of it. In 2009, this chamber and the House signed a bill that gave the FDA the power to regulate these products. The President signed that bill, and since then, the FDA, the Food and Drug Administration, has done nothing to utilize that power to regulate these addictive products that are going to destroy the health of our children in the years to come. Finally, from June 2009 until October of last year, so more than 4 years, they finally sent a draft deeming regulation to GAO, General Accounting Office, and there it sits. So to summarize, let us not accept inaction by the FDA. Let us not accept inaction by the GAO. Let's have the courage that the Surgeon General had 50 years ago to take on dangerous products damaging the health of Americans so that our children will live better lives. Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator's time has expired. Under the previous order, the Senate stands in recess subject to the call of the Chair.
So the Senate going into recess as Senate Democrats will be heading now to the White House for a meeting with President Obama.